All right, can focus. Before we get into this, let's take a look at the characters involved. Latasha Gillespie, globalist, and Jennifer Salk, globalist. Amazon Studios, the studio behind Lord of the Rings and Wheel of Time, wow, that book was overwritten, or books, announces new inclusion policy. As a member of the LGBTCG community and a person of color myself, I feel I'm eminently qualified to be an expert on these issues and will educate you shitlords. Movies are not for you anymore. They were fun while they lasted, but that period of American history is over until the Civil War and we separate. And then we're just going to build our own Hollywood in Oregon once we kick out all the Marxists. Consuming movies by people of Starbucks and Uggs, white people, is insane. Don't pay your oppressors. These people hate you and they want you gone. Literally gone. Deleted, departed, excised from this mortal coil, gone. And I know that some of you are waking up, but we're not. You don't have to feel like you're taking crazy pills. More and more of us are waking up. And I feel that red pilling normies is my cross to bear. It's really why I was put on this earth. And doing these videos is almost impossible on YouTube. If you can hear the frustration in my voice, this is, I don't know, the third time I tried to do this. Because once you go in these waters, it gets very deep very quickly. And there be monsters here. These people are of a group that has in-group preference, and they advance their interests as a group. They are tribal. You also need to get tribal right now and advocate for your tribe, or else you're going to get walked all over. This says they're going to seek out, this has got a lot of this like newspeak. Oh my god, Orwell, holy cow. If you haven't read Orwell, amplify voices across race, ethnicity, nationality, sexual orientation, age, religion, disability, including mental health. Hey, aren't we all there? A body size, well, I'm going to remind me to get into that in a second because, Halle Berry was a big seller when she was doing movies, I don't know, 20 years ago. It's like, why? Because she was hot. She was hot. She had I don't know, she's probably like 120 pounds, but everything was like in the right proportion and place. So if you're going to, like, that seems to be the last Rubicon for Hollywood to cross is the body size thing. Because, come on, Amy Schumer, and who's the fat chick who's in Ghostbusters? Those chicks, you want to see them as Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow in a bodysuit, like Amy Schumer running around in a bodysuit, like in a serious role? Come on, hey, go for it. Accelerate it to destruction. Okay, gender identity, and gender expression. Okay, I'm not exactly sure about all that. Hollywood is not for you. Not only as a consumer, but if you want to work in the industry, and for every like one actor, it's like how many hundreds of behind the scenes people does it take to put on a movie? You're going to need to identify as a LGBT person of color. Elizabeth Warren was approximately 1,024th American Indian. If you feel that you are Black, Latin, or whatever, you're going to need to assert that. Hollywood is going to see a ton of people come out of the closet as LGBT, are mentally ill, or discover that they have Arab or African family in the family tree, as I did myself. It's going to get ridiculous. If you're blonde and blue-eyed, you're going to be better off identifying as a LGBT WOC, or just bypass Hollywood for a social media gig or something else. I mean, I don't know. Kevin Smith made a movie for a very small amount of money. What I mean is, like, instead of getting hired for someone else, you're going to need to do the hiring. But then, SAG is going to have certain rules of inclusion and stuff. So the only way is, if you want to make your own movie with your own people, you just got to bypass Hollywood. Like I said, I honestly think we're headed for Civil War, which is something I would not have said even a few years ago. But now the situation is just unsustainable. So Hollywood has got racial goals. So what? This is one issue for Hollywood. The second issue is when this trickles down to other situations. First of all, I don't know if this is even legal. It seems to violate federal law, which goes against the Constitution. Probably the 14th Amendment, because you're talking about like federal court jurisdiction, subject matter diversity jurisdiction, subject matter jurisdiction. You've got federal context. How closely is this group Hollywood acting as a state actor? How connected are they to the state? It turns out that Hollywood movies actually have a lot of connections to the state, just beyond the obvious ones. If read a book. If you need a book, send me an email and I'll send you one. I've got an extra Lord of the Flies if somebody needs it. There was an article a day ago about Hollywood was leaving money on the table by not hiring more POCs. If that is true, great. But why did you just discover that in 2021? It's almost as if you had your eyes wide shut. Companies study film demographics very closely. Why don't you put more Africans in films in 2010 or 2000? You knew what the market would bear back then, and if you were leaving money on the table now, surely it applied 10 years ago. Mexicans will soon be the majority in America, except that they are underrepresented on film and TV. If you knew the financial demographics years ago, then why didn't you make changes then? And how will you treat people who don't identify as white, like some Irish, Portuguese, Spanish, Italian, Eastern Europeans, etc.? Will you respect their self-identity or simply use the paper bag test? Or what about an Englishman who lived in Africa and identifies as an African, or an African who identifies as a Frenchman? Maybe you'll require DNA tests and struggle sessions? Okay, do you care if Hollywood goes up its own ass? When the left eats itself, I think just sit back or try to accelerate it. I'm done with Hollywood. I don't like people who still are talking about movies coming out. I look at them like, you just haven't been paying attention. Post 2020 riots, like I don't think a lot of normies have realized the impact of the 2020 riots and like who Hollywood is. These people are deeply, deeply disturbed. Anyway, so Amazon says diversity, inclusion, compassion, and kindness. Covers 4 primary areas: developing stories, characters, hiring, production. Okay, so there's a lot of people that go into making a movie. Their goals will be each film or series will have 3 or more people in the above line roles: directors, writers. Okay, it should include a minimum 30% women and 30% members of an underrepresented racial ethnic group. Well, will that include the Russians, the Irish, the Swedish? Here's the thing that I don't know how much I can get into this, and my gosh, I have skipped quite a bit to make this YouTube friendly. But I know there's people who are listening, Arcadian and the others in that private chat, who are totally on board. Let me say this carefully. This is one reason I'm very much against people identifying as a color and not. If you're a country, if you identify, I'm trying to say like, if you're Irish or Russian or German or French, identify as that and not as white. Like say now, I don't identify as white. I'm Swedish, Norwegian, whatever, Scandinavian. Don't let them put you in a pigeonhole because they're going to group you all together as this. You say I don't know, whatever you are. Don't let them identify you as white, non-Hispanic. It's like that's the state, that's the man identifying you, and the people who are behind this are the worst people on earth. There's nobody that compares to these people. They will foment the next Civil War and the next World War III, and like, oh yeah, 50 million people could go. 50 million people could be departed. They don't care. These are the people who will sell to both sides to cause a war, and then when land is cheap, they'll buy up the land and then loan money to people. And these are the worst people on earth. These are like, if you tell me that these people were literally Satanists, I would almost believe you, as opposed to just being horrible, horrible people. So we're going to have, by 2024, we're going to have half women, which I guess that makes sense, except, the question is, well, what percentage of women want to work in Hollywood? But, hey, again, it's a left-wing industry. Go for it. If you want half women, please, by all means, you should be more than half women to redress past grievances. Okay, the thing is, underrepresented racial ethnic groups, if they group you all as white, then you're never going to get individual standing as an Irishman, as a Spanish, as a Italian. You say, no, I'm not white, I'm Italian. I identify as a marginalized and oppressed person of color. It's not up to you to define my oppression. You are the oppressor by calling me white when I don't identify as white. I've been discriminated my whole life because I was Italian. Or whatever you are. Sorry for picking on the Italians. Or Eastern European. How many Polish jokes have the Polish heard their whole lives growing up? Oh, well, that doesn't count. Oh, pray tell, why doesn't it count? Because they're hardly human. Yeah, that's what people are saying. When they're saying that your feelings don't count, but their feelings do. I don't know any other way to say this and keep this on YouTube. These people are the open enemy. They want horrible, horrible things. And unless everyone wakes up and either prepares for these events or tries to push back against them, I don't know. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for the support on Coffee, guys. I'll see you all next episode.